Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are digging into some really fascinating source material. It's a teaching from Dr. Roy, Tree of Life Ministries International.
That's right. And it gives this, well, very specific metaphysical view on a chunk of the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verses 20 to 32.
Yeah, it's that bit where Jesus is teaching in the temple treasury,
Yeah.
and the conversation that unfolds, it's just layered, especially through this lens. It's not just history.
Absolutely. It's all about spiritual consciousness.
Exactly. And look, if you're maybe short on time, can't listen to the full hour-long teaching, but you want the core essence, the main takeaways.
Then you're in the right place.
Yeah. Our mission today is to pull out those key nuggets of knowledge for you. So let's jump in. Verse 20 is where it starts.
Right. John 8:20. These words spake Jesus in the treasury as he taught in the temple, and no man laid hands on him, for his hour was not yet come. King James Version there.
Okay, the treasury, in the temple. But this teaching, it immediately gives that location a deeper meaning, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Straight away. The treasury, in this view, it's not just, the offering boxes.
Right.
It symbolizes the inner storehouse inside each of us, where spiritual truth, that real wealth, is kept, your own inner chamber.
Wow, okay. That changes the whole picture. So Jesus teaching there, what does that represent?
It's like the awakened voice of truth, the logos, speaking from the deepest, most sacred part of your own being, from your own inner holy of holies.
And that line, no man laid hands on him. The source says it's more than just him avoiding arrest right then.
Way more. Metaphorically, it means that the external systems, rigid religious rules, or just thinking based only on your five senses, the carnal mind.
The stuff of the outer world.
Exactly. That stuff couldn't grasp or control or even really touch the spiritual voice that Jesus embodied. They couldn't perceive it from their limited viewpoint, so they couldn't affect it.
Operating on a different wavelength,
Yeah.
almost. Okay, what about, for his hour was not yet come? That's not about clock time, is it?
No, not really. The teaching stresses this is about divine timing, not physical time. It's about acting from an inner knowing, that moment of full spiritual realization that requires action.
Ah.
The source uses this Greek word, ek. It signifies movement flowing directly from spirit. Jesus lived from that inner mandate, that ek. Part of the ecclesia, the called out ones acting from divine flow, not from what the world demanded.
Okay, this feels like the first really big takeaway for you, the listener.
Yeah.
What does this verse tell us about our own lives through this lens?
Well, it's telling you that your actions, your unfolding, you could call it your hour, need to come from that inner connection, your union with the divine mind, the Father within.
So don't be driven by outside pressure.
Right. Not by external demands or fear or what the world systems say you should do. The real power, the right timing for your spiritual expression, it flows from listening inward and acting from that place.
That is a powerful reframe. Okay, let's move on. Verses 21 to 24. Jesus says he's going somewhere they cannot come.
Yeah, and the reaction is, well, strange. They ask if he's going to kill himself.
Which shows where their heads are at, right? Then Jesus makes these sharp contrasts from beneath versus from above, of this world versus not of this world, and the warning. They'll die in your sin, singular, the source notes, if they don't believe I am he.
Yeah, there's a lot packed in there. The teaching unpacks it metaphysically. Jesus going away isn't physical travel. It's about ascending to a higher state of consciousness.
Union with the Father.
Exactly. And people stuck in just literal sense-based thinking or rigid religious dogma, they just can't access that state. They cannot come there.
Okay, and die in your sin. You mentioned the singular.
This is so crucial to this interpretation. Sin here isn't like a tally of wrongdoings. It's presented as one thing. A mistaken identity.
Yeah.
To die in your sin isn't about punishment from God. It's the natural outcome of living as if you're separate, living in illusion, unaware of your true divine nature and your inherent rightness. It's basically spiritual unconsciousness.
And the suicide question just highlights their focus.
Perfectly. They're obsessed with physical death, outward actions. They completely miss the state of being, the spiritual life Jesus is talking about, because they're stuck on the literal level.
Which leads right into from beneath versus from above.
Right. Just different levels of awareness. From beneath is that carnal mind fear, performing for approval, feeling separate. From above is the spiritual mind, oneness, love, knowing the truth.
And being of this world.
Living from the ego, me, myself, I, conditioned by mass beliefs, what you inherited, what the world tells you is real. Being not of this world means you're anchored in knowing your eternal union with the Father.
Even while you're living here on earth.
Right. You're untouched by the world's illusions of time and separation. You live in it, but you're not run by it.
So, boiling this down, the key insight here for you listening.
It's a pretty radical statement about who you really are. The source is emphatic. You are not merely human. You are spirit slowed down to visibility.
Visible spirit beings.
Yes. Not just spirits having a human experience, but spirit being visibly expressed. And staying unaware of this truth, your core I exist identity, that's spiritual sleep, dying in your sin is staying trapped in that lie that you're separate, flawed, unworthy.
And believing I am he or I exist.
But that's the awakening. It's recognizing the same spirit in you that is the essence of everyone. Jesus came to show that your true essence, your essence, is the Father's. Holy, upright, eternal. It's who you already are.
That changes everything about sin and freedom. Okay, let's look at verses 25 to 30. They ask him, who are you? His answer is deep. Even the same that I said to you from the beginning. He talks about being sent, and remarkably, many believe.
Yeah, that question, who are you, coming from the leaders, the source sees it as resistance, not real curiosity.
They don't like what they're hearing.
Pretty much. And Jesus answers as the logos, the divine wisdom that's been there since the beginning of everything.
So he's saying, this isn't new. This voice speaking through me is eternal truth.
Exactly. He's reminding them that the I exist voice in him is the same voice that's always been whispering within them too. They just haven't recognized it, maybe because they're too focused outside.
And he's sent to awaken, not judge.
Right. His words aren't just his opinions. They're divine wisdom flowing through. And the one who sent me, again, not some external figure.
No, the source is clear. It's the eternal source, the breath of life, the divine mind that lives inside every single person. It's where all true spiritual action comes from.
This opens up a really powerful idea about us, doesn't it? About our own lives.
It really does. Being sent metaphysically. What does that mean for us?
It means being fully lined up with and flowing from that indwelling divine mind. And the teaching says, basically, you are also sent ones.
We are.
Yes, expressions of divine purpose. You're here by eternal design, carrying a holy purpose within you because of that inner connection.
Wow. And the source connects us to giving, tithing. Malachi 3.0 gets pulled in here.
It does, yeah. It gives Malachi 3.10 a metaphysical read. You know the verse, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. Prove me now, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing.
Right. How does that fit?
It's understood as a call to bring your awareness back to wholeness, back to that divine flow. The tithes aren't just money.
What are they then?
They're the first fruit of your awareness. Giving the best of your attention, your focus, your energy, prioritizing your inner spiritual reality, listening to that inner voice first, before the world's noise.
Okay, so prioritizing spiritual consciousness is the tithe.
Yeah.
In the storehouse.
Your inner chamber again, where spiritual understanding is stored, where you find your meat, your true nourishment, revelation, truth.
And the windows of heaven opening.
When you consistently give that first fruit of awareness inward, those windows representing divine understanding, limitless spiritual supply, they open within you.
From the inside out.
Exactly. And the blessing poured out isn't stuff magically appearing from outside. It's the release of the abundance already inside you. Wisdom, love, peace supply flowing out into your life because your awareness activated it, not because you tried really hard.
This sounds deeply tied to being a sent one, expressing that inner purpose.
Absolutely. The teaching implies you really thrive, you find that true joy when you give from your divine essence, because when you express your true self, you remember who you are. It lines up with that flow.
Makes sense. And verse 30, as he spake these words, many believed on him. What's the significance there?
It shows that truth spoken from that deep place, from divine awareness. It resonates, it vibrates, you know. It awakens the inner witness in people who are open. It bypasses the analytical mind and causes a quickening, a stir of recognition deep inside.
Okay, let's wrap this up with the final section, verses 27 through 32. The leaders still don't get who the Father is. Jesus talks about lifting up the Son of Man, his total union with the Father, leading to that huge promise. If you continue in my word, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Yeah, that confusion about the Father in verse 27 really shows how fixed religious ideas like God being only an external man in the sky can just, well, blind people.
They miss God speaking within and through people.
Exactly. They're looking outward. And then lift the Son of Man. How does the teaching see that?
It's about raising your awareness metaphysically, lifting consciousness from seeing yourself as just a limited human to recognizing your true divine essence.
So the Son of Man is like humanity awakening to its divine roots.
Right. And Jesus is basically saying, you won't really grasp who I am, this I exist, until you grasp who you are, that same I exist within you. When humanity's awareness gets lifted, that union between the divine and the visible spirit becomes known, like experientially.
Jesus lived from that place. His actions weren't from a separate self, but merged with the source.
And verse 29 reinforces that he that sent me is with me, that absolute union.
Totally. It's the promise that you are never separate from the divine. God is your breath, your very being. And pleasing the Father, it's not about earning points with some sky god.
What is it then?
It's living in harmony with that inner voice of spirit, letting your life flow naturally from your divine center, not from ego or just human striving.
The source also brings in Isaiah 11 here, the branch man.
Yeah, seeing the branch as us, humanity, the Spirit of the Father rests in us, giving wisdom, understanding, discernment, not based on just what our eyes see or ears hear.
And this is happening now.
The teaching suggests this awakening is happening now. That inner quickening, that first step on the awareness journey, it often starts when you question old limiting beliefs and turn inward, asking the Father, that inner source, for real understanding.
Which leads perfectly to the climax, verses 31-32. If you continue in my word, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let's unpack that freedom promise from this perspective.
Okay, the source is really clear. The truth exists to make you free. It specifically contrasts this with maybe some religious ideas of truth that still leave you feeling like a sinner saved by grace, but maybe still bound, still carrying that old identity.
So this truth is different.
Yes. The truth of the Logos reveals you exist as the creative spiritual activity. You are the ik in the ecclesia, the point where spirit acts and moves from within you.
But just hearing this isn't enough for freedom, right? It says know the truth.
Absolutely vital point. The source highlights the Greek word unisko for know. It's not just mental agreement, not just ticking a belief box.
What is it then?
It's intimate, experiential knowing. It's like a merging with the truth that actually bears fruit in your life, lasting fruit. So if you hear, you are holy, righteous, one with the Father, but you still feel bound by shame or fear.
It's not that the truth failed.
No. It means the light of that truth, the Logos, hasn't fully permeated all the layers. The hidden beliefs, the old wounds, the unconscious stuff, the inherited junk, the shadows, the source calls them, where that truth hasn't become real in your experience yet.
So freedom is a process, not just a switch flip.
It's a process of allowing that divine light to really get in there, to illuminate and transform those residual parts that still believe in separation or lack. Those hindrances need to be seen, faced, and replaced by the living word.
Sometimes needing help with that.
Yeah, the source acknowledges that. Sometimes a spiritual counselor who gets this truth can really help facilitate that inner illumination, that divine correction and healing.
Okay, so for everyone listening, especially if you need the quick version today, let's boil this down. The absolute top insights, the core nuggets from this teaching on John 8-20-32.
Okay, first big one. Your true nature isn't just human, it's spirit. You're intimately one with the divine source, the I exist within.
Right. And the whole teaching is about shifting your awareness, lifting it from a limited worldly view to a spiritual consciousness of that oneness.
And sin, fundamentally, is redefined. It's a mistaken identity, believing you're separate from God.
Listening to and acting from that inner divine voice is key. That's where your purpose as a sent one comes from, and it's the source of real joy and flow.
And finally, knowing the truth, Kanishko, is experiential. It's allowing divine light to transform you deeply, freeing you from old limits as you realize your inherent divine nature. It's about integrating truth into every part of you.
It really is a profound shift, isn't it? From focusing outside to focusing inside. Challenges a lot of traditional thinking.
Definitely invites you into a much more personal, direct exploration of who you are. It makes it about your living reality right now.
Yeah. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to maybe mull over today. This teaching basically says God isn't separate. God is your very breath, your being. So what does it really mean for you to consider that you're never separate from your source? And that living in harmony with your deepest inner knowing is what it means to please the Father. What's the one idea from this deep dive you'll carry with you?
Something deep to consider for sure.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into quite a transformative take on John 8.
Always good to explore these ideas.
Until next time.